This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
And welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, this is going to be a real loaded show here. We got a bunch of stuff we got to talk about. I mean, it's Super Bowl week and they're not even dominating the headlines. The NBA is king, let me tell you. Alright, the NBA, as of right now, is the best league in the world. All right, they dominate the headlines week in, week out, and they're pretty much just beating down on the NFL. And the NFL is in their Super Bowl week, like I said. I mean, it's just ridiculous with how it's all going on right now. I mean, look at, obviously, if you paid attention to Twitter or the NBA yesterday, you saw Blake Griffin is now a Detroit Piston. All right, that is insane. Not the fact that Blake Griffin got Blake Griffin getting traded after signing that big deal in the offseason. I mean, it's just like insane how they sent him to Detroit. I don't want to say too much about it because we're gonna should we start off with that? I think we might have to start off with the Blake Griffin trade. I wanted to do like a little weekend recap, but maybe I'll push that to the second segment. Or you know what? No, we're gonna stick to our guns here. All right. From now on every Tuesday show, I was thinking about it. How usually we don't really talk about stuff that happened over the weekend, so we're gonna be doing that. You know what? No, I gotta start with Blake Griffin. This is bigger news. All right, but nonetheless, all right, this is the only exception here. All right, we're going to talk Blake Griffin in this first segment, but going forward, every Tuesday show, because that's when we start for the week. We're going to be doing a weekend recap for the first segment every week. All right, but like I said, that's going to be an exception this week because Blake Griffin got traded to the Pistons. So we're going to talk about that. What else are we talking about? We're going to talk about, because you know what, there were actually some basketball games that were played yesterday. We're going to talk about those. Talk a little bit about the Super Bowl a bit. And probably actually going to move that to the fourth segment. We're going to talk a little bit of Floyd Mayweather. He's back in the news again. I guess it's not for bad things either. I mean, it's just little marketing stuff. But nonetheless, he's back in the news. We'll talk about that. Maybe give a few thoughts on Canelo and Triple G finalizing their fight. Who knows? But I mean, let's start off with Blake Griffin. This was just insane. Out of left field. Not the fact that he was getting traded. I mean, that is a little surprising there. But I mean, the Detroit Pistons traded for Blake Griffin. The Detroit Pistons. Let me see where the trade is in the standings right now. They're not even the 8th seed right now. They're under 500, 22-26, about 2.5 games back of Philly for that 8th spot. I mean, it's ridiculous how they go and they trade for Blake Griffin. I'm just mind blown right now. All right, the Detroit Pistons of all teams. All right, no one really as far as Blake Griffin getting traded. Yeah, there was talks about it, obviously, but more in the offseason than it was just yesterday, I feel. But I mean, the Detroit Pistons were never a team that you would think would trade for Blake Griffin. Their name never came up. It was just ridiculous how this all went down, all right? So I'm scrolling through Twitter and I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see Adrian Wojnarowski just out of the nowhere, Woj bomb right here. All right. The Detroit Pistons and the Los Angeles Clippers are nearing a deal for Blake Griffin, or for Blake Griffin to be headed to Detroit. And I'm thinking, wait, is this a fake account? Did I read that right? There's no way this is actually going to be something that's happening. And then the next tweet comes and then it's saying the Blake Griffin is going to be traded, it's official. He's going to be traded to the Detroit Pistons and it's a done deal. And I'm just no way. Blake Griffin, to the Blake Griffin to the Pistons. I mean, I don't understand. We're going to talk about what the Clippers got for him and what's next for the Pistons, but I mean, that's just wild. The guy signs, and this is one thing I enjoyed seeing yesterday too, was people talking about how there's no loyalty in the league. On this podcast, I've been trying to say that all the time. I've been trying to tell people, there's no such thing as loyalty. All right. I saw a tweet from one of the LA reporters, I think it was, saying that Obviously, because you remember this offseason, Blake Griffin re-signed with the Clippers, and it looked like he was going to be a Clipper for life. It was all that good stuff right there that went up. And I was seeing that during his little pitch to re-sign him from the Clippers bring him into Staples Center, sit him down in one of the seats, and looks up. It's got one of those like fake little banner jersey things hanging from the rafters, and the PA announcer is saying that Blake Griffin is one of the best Clippers of all time, or something like that. Like, you get what I'm saying, all right? Just pretty much saying that Blake Griffin is going to be a Clipper forever, and he's going to have his jersey in the Raptors one day. All right, and then they trade him to Detroit. I don't want to say too many bad things about the city of Detroit. Detroit, I feel like it could be a cool place, maybe. All they ever did was have Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders retire early, right? That's the only really bad thing about Detroit. You had two of the best players possibly that could have been at their positions retire. Look at Calvin Johnson. The guy retired early in his career, and he's still regarded as a top 10 receiver. At least I feel he is. And he didn't even play like a full length career, And Barry Sanders already only played 10 years, and people think of him as one of the best running backs of all time, if not the best. So, Detroit as a city, Blake Griffin going there, I'm not sure. Imagine going from LA to Detroit. All right, I'm not really. I live in Sacramento, more of I like the Bay Area more. I've never really been an LA guy. Never really thought much of it. Never really understood the hype. All right, but nonetheless, even going from LA to a city like Detroit has got to be the ultimate downgrade. All right, and I'm sorry for all you Detroit people out there. I'm not trying to bash on the city, all right? You guys do got Matt Stafford, nice little sports teams out there, but it just doesn't compare to LA, and I don't even like LA. But nonetheless, Blake Griffin's gone, and what's next? Let's talk about the Clippers, all right? They're getting Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, Boban Marjanovic, something like that. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. And a first-round pick and a second-round pick. I like it. I like this deal for the Clippers more than I like it for the Pistons, believe it or not. Let me tell you why. All right, so obviously, with the Clippers trading away Blake Griffin, obviously they're going to try and do a little rebuild. All right, and I saw, too, that, they're still looking to trade DeAndre Jordan and Lou Williams, but they could be extended if it's at the right price. Okay, so with all that in mind, let's look at it now. Now you got Tobias Harris. Now you got Avery Bradley. You got Milos Teodosic playing point guard. That's a nice little core right there. All right, again, this is a young team. I think as of right now, even without Blake Griffin, the Clippers are a playoff team, I feel. Like an 8th, 7th seed type. Right now, they're currently a half game out of the 8th seed, so I think I might be overvaluing this move a little bit more for the Clippers than I should be, but I really like the fact that they got Avery Bradley and Tobias Harris there. Tobias Harris is a nice little scorer, and Avery Bradley is a nice 3-and-D player. Obviously, this season with the Detroit Pistons, he hasn't really played all too well. He has been battling a groin injury all year, and it's just not a winning situation over there. But nonetheless, I like it, all right? So let's say they trade DeAndre Jordan. Let's say they trade him to the Cavs, all right? You're going to get probably Tristan Thompson back in that Brooklyn pick, something like that, Maybe a guy like Channing Frye and J.R. Smith for the Brooklyn pick. Either way, look at it. You got Teodosic, Avery Bradley, Tobias Harris, and then you got that Brooklyn pick, which should be top 10. It could be anywhere from 10 to 1 because of the lottery. So there, and you trade with Lou Williams, you can get something nice for him too, a couple of first-round picks. The Clippers are setting up nice for this rebuild. They're not going to be like a team like they're not going to go into the Sixers full tank mode. All right, they're going to be pretty much a young team who competes, but is able to put in different pieces, and they're not going to be struggling like that much. All right, I like what they're doing. I really like the return they got for Blake Griffin. Okay, and I'm not sure. Because remember last time Doc Rivers had to go through a rebuild, he just left. All right, that was with the Boston Celtics. They didn't want to go through a rebuild with him, so they traded Boston Rivers to the Clippers, which is kind of weird saying since they traded a coach away. But nonetheless, yeah, Doc Rivers did not want to be there for the rebuild. All right, so now he's going to have to unless somehow he says, you know what, fire me, whatever, doesn't matter. But either way, I like it for the Clippers. Now let's talk Pistons. Now you got Blake Griffin, you got Andre Drummond. You have no number 2 guard. You have no number 3 on your team. Your point guard, Reggie Jackson, has been hurt for most of the year. This team right here is, with the team that they got now, is not even a playoff team. All right? They're a fringe playoff team, I guess you could say. All right, they're a team who's still going to fight for the 8th seed, but, I mean, it's going to take a lot. They're still 2.5 games back. They're still under 500 currently, 22-26. So now, what's next? I mean, there's no way that the Detroit Pistons can just say, oh, yeah, we got Blake Griffin. We're good now. They have to have something else. They have to be working out something else and bringing in another star player. This is kind of like what Oklahoma City did, bringing in Carmelo Anthony. I'm not sure if they brought in Paul George then Melo or Melo then Paul George, but either way, when they brought those guys in, like they brought one of them and you knew that they were going to make another big deal as you felt it. All right, so as far as what the Pistons do, I'm not sure what's really out there for them. I was thinking about it earlier. Maybe they go and they trade for a guy like Kemba Walker, but as of right now, I mean, what do the Pistons really have to offer now? You already gave up your biggest trade piece and your two biggest trade pieces in why am I drawing a blank? Tobias Harris and Avery Bradley. I mean, what else do you have left to give? I mean, maybe you can give up, because I know that the Hornets want to start rebuilding, but you already gave away a first-round pick for Blake Griffin. I mean, I'm not sure really how many other picks that they have to give up, but I mean, there's not really much that they could do. But it makes no sense because like they have to do something. Like you have to go out and you have to get someone like another star player to go out and play with Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. If that's what, because maybe they could be trading for Blake Griffin, thinking, you know what? Yeah, this year we're not going to do too well, but we're going to be able to attract free agents in the offseason. Or like they have a little rebuilding plan, and Blake Griffin was a step there. Now you got Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin alongside. Now you just need that third player, and they're going to do that in the offseason. But as I'm, they got Stanley Johnson. That's a guy that's another tradable piece right there. His name has came up in trade talks, or at least trade rumors. All right, you could probably get rid of a guy like Stanley Johnson, maybe pair a guy like Ish Smith with him, maybe a Reggie Jackson type. I'm not sure if they do that though, since Reggie Jackson's hurt. So yeah, I think that Detroit's gonna end up making another move, but I'm just curious as to see what it's gonna be. If it's me, I'm getting rid of Reggie Jackson and Stanley Johnson and bringing in Kemba Walker. I think that's what Detroit might do, but nonetheless, I'm not completely sure yet. But like I said, just completely shocked by this trade going down. Like it was, like I said, just pretty much started the trade deadline season early. Crazy to see Blake Griffin going to the Pistons. And like I said, I mean, I like what the Clippers got. I think the Clippers, as of right now, before any game is played with any of these players going to their respective teams now, as of right now, the Clippers are on the better end of this deal. All right, got young players. Aren't going to be a bad team by any means. Okay, let me put that out there. Clippers will not be a bad team. They're going to be a team that's rebuilding, but they're not going to be a Sacramento Kings type dumpster fire rebuild. All right, and I'm sorry I said that for the Kings fans out there, but I mean, you guys have been rebuilding since 2006 and just doing poorly at it. Now it's looking kind of nice, but nonetheless, I mean, you get what I'm saying. You guys are the Cleveland Browns of the NBA, for being honest here. But nonetheless, I mean, Blake Griffin to the Pistons, they have to make another move. There's no doubt about that, unless they're not too smart on that front office. Like, I'm curious to see what the Pistons do next, because they have to do something. They have to, unless I said they're just going to wait till the offseason and see what they could do then. But it's going to be interesting to see how it all ends up. But like I said, Blake Griffin traded away to the Pistons from the Clippers. Clippers are getting Tobias Harris, Boban Bogdanovic or whatever, Avery Bradley, a first-round pick and a second-round pick. So first big trade of the trade deadline season. And it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I've seen guys like Tyreek Evans' names get linked to the Celtics. Obviously, guys like DeAndre Jordan linked to the Cavs still. George Hill linked to the Cavs. It's going to be interesting to see. Nikolai Mirotic almost got traded to the Pelicans earlier. So, I mean, it's going to be a little crazy trade deadline, I think. And like I said, the NFL right now is losing, and it's their Super Bowl week. So NBA is king right here. So that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to do the weekend recap, talk about the things that happened over the weekend, talk about the sadness of DeMarcus Cousins being out for the rest of the season. I have some thoughts about that. Probably going to say a couple more bad things about the Kings, but nonetheless, they're going to be things that make sense, you know? Just as far as Boogie Cousins' entire career. We're going to talk about it, Roger Federer, talk about Tiger Woods, and pretty much anything else that I missed over the weekend. Then for the third segment, we'll be talking NBA scores from yesterday, which was Monday, and fourth segment, pretty much talk about anything else going on in sports. That's where Floyd Mayweather comes in. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Last segment we talked about the Blake Griffin trade, talked about the craziness of it, talked about both teams and what it means for them going forward. Again, I like what the Clippers got in this trade, and I think the Pistons are going to make another big move before it's all said and done, so we'll have to wait and see. This segment, though, we'll be doing the weekend recap, and again, just to reiterate, we'll be doing this for the first segment on each Tuesday show going forward, but Blake Griffin kind of shut that down, so here we are. The weekend has passed. All right. Roger Federer won his 20th major. I need someone to tell me, are they, in tennis, are they called majors or are they called Grand Slams? All right, I think that, I know it's the 4 major tournaments in tennis. It's the Australian Open, the U.S. Open, I think it is, and a couple of other ones, can't remember exactly, but nonetheless, those are Grand Slam tournaments, so I guess it is, Roger Federer didn't win his 20th Grand Slam, but nonetheless, goes out, he wins. Roger Federer, best men's tennis player of all time. Best tennis player of all time. Again, I said men's, but the best all-around tennis player, boys and girls, men and women, Serena Williams. All right, we don't have to disagree. We don't have to agree, but I mean, Serena Williams is bad, good bad, not bad or anything like that. But you understand what I'm saying. Serena Williams is the ultimate tennis player. She owns it. All right, if you put Serena Williams versus Roger Federer, I'll put my money on Serena Williams. All right. I mean, she is the best tennis player in the world by far. Not by far. I don't want to be crazy, but I mean, it's just ridiculous what Serena has managed to do and dominate. But nonetheless, I mean, Roger Federer, like I said, his 20th major Grand Slam. I'm not sure what, I'm not saying major Grand Slam. It's either major or Grand Slam. Not sure what it is. I need to freshen up on my tennis knowledge. But I mean, like I was talking about on Friday, I think it was, you've had guys like Rafa Nadal, Novak Djokovic, all those guys go out and win tournaments and play extremely well, but you haven't had someone who's had the sustained dominance like a Roger Federer. Like I said, I compared him to Tom Brady last week, and I mean, that comparison is still good and perfect. So, once again, Roger Federer won over the weekend, his 20th major title. I think that might be, I'm not sure if that's the most. I have to double check on it. I can't remember. Honestly, I have no clue if it's the most or not, but nonetheless, it's quite the feat to win 20 major titles in any sport. All right. Speaking of majors, let's talk Tiger Woods. Finished the tournament, made the cut. Shout out to Tiger for making the cut. All right. Finished at a -3, tied 23rd in the tournament. Winner of that Farmers Insurance Open was Jason Day. Ooh, there was a 6-hole playoff between Jason Day, Alex Noren, Ryan Palmer. And like I said, Jason Day ended up winning that. Let's see, how did Phil Mickelson do? I remember he was doing all right, unless he just pretty much dropped out and didn't do well. I don't think I see him on here right here. Phil Mickelson finished even. I mean, there was one point in the tournament, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, where Phil Mickelson was at a -4, so I mean, just pretty much fell off. But look at the boy Tiger Woods at a -3. People are starting to talk. Can Tiger go out and win another major? I don't think that's fair. I think we need to stop the whole can Tiger win another major. Let's just enjoy Tiger while we got him. All right? Before he either retires or I'll just say retires. All right. I don't want to talk about his injury history. So, I mean, the whole Tiger Woods winning another major, I think we got to stop that. All right. I don't think, obviously Tiger Woods is good for the game of golf. If Tiger Woods ever won another major, that might be the biggest sports story of the year. All right. As far as just playing and stuff like that. Obviously, there's been some other stuff already so far this year, but we won't get into that. But nonetheless, I mean, Tiger Woods winning another major would be crazy. It'd be ridiculous. It'd be a bunch of adjectives. All right. I don't think he's ever going to do it again. If we're being real here, I've given up on Tiger Woods as far as winning something like that. Okay, I'm not the biggest golf mind or anything close to that, but I mean, nonetheless, I know enough to see that Tiger Woods is a shell of his old self. Obviously, his best years are behind him. Let's just enjoy Tiger Woods for the remaining time he's got left in the game of golf. All right, let guys like Jason Day go out and win tournaments now. All right, just enjoy Tiger. Let's stop it with the major talk. He's not going to win another one. If I had to put money on it, I would put money on Tiger Woods never winning another major unless the guy's like completely 100% healthy, which I'm not even sure he is right now. But nonetheless, Tiger Woods finished at a -3, and now, I mean, got nowhere to go but up, I guess you could say. I mean, he's got a whole new... Like, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, maybe Tiger could, but if I had to put my money on it, he's not going to. So I'm going to stick to that, but it's going to be interesting to see, like, the progression of Tiger Woods this year. Maybe he could do it, maybe he couldn't. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and say he can't. So, there was that. We also had the Pro Bowl this weekend. I watched some of it. Didn't watch most of it. And when I say I watched some of it, I did check out the highlights from the NFL.com YouTube channel. Or the NFL YouTube channel, I should say. So that's where I watch it from. Usually when I don't get to watch like games, I'll go ahead and check those ones out because they do pretty well in putting games together and pretty much setting it all up. But yeah, I checked the Pro Bowl out there watched like the first half on the YouTube highlights thing for the NFL. And the ratings did pretty good, I think. I think they were up 17% from last year. And if you would have put it up with college football, it would have been like the 6th highest rated college football game or 8th highest. One of those numbers right there. So, I mean, people came back and they tuned in to watch it. But nonetheless, I mean, the style of play, like the way they played, I guess it was a little bit better, but not great. I mean, you guys know how I feel about All-Star games and Pro Bowls. I mean, just get rid of them. All right, my little bright idea is get rid of the Pro Bowl. Just have fans vote for it still. Whatever players get selected, get a trip to Hawaii, give them all the same bonus. I think the winning team gets $40,000 or $60,000. One of those, I think it is. Can't remember exactly how much they get paid, but nonetheless, just bring it down to a median. All right, just give them whatever the average is, and boom, be done with it. You can bring them out to Hawaii, have them do a little skill showdown, but nonetheless, I mean, the Pro Bowl is not something that, I mean, I really care about too much. I mean, like as a little kid, yeah, I enjoyed watching it, but now it's pretty much, what's the point? Bowling is on ESPN. There's usually basketball on Sundays now. So, I mean, the Pro Bowl, Oh, also, if you guys didn't notice, I didn't. That's for a fact. The NHL All-Star Weekend was this past weekend. Crazy, right? Because literally no one knew about it. All right, the NHL is garbage as far as marketing their game. All right, it's ridiculous. How do you have an All-Star game for your league and no one knows about it? I had no clue that it was going on this weekend. And I know hardcore casual hockey fans might have known about it. Actually, not even casual fans. I consider myself a casual hockey fan. But like, I enjoy going to the games. I think watching a hockey game live is the best experience in sports as far as like going to a football game. Because comparing them all, I think hockey is the best. But I mean, how do you just not market this or put it out there at all? Like, no one knew. Like, this wasn't getting any love on Twitter or anything like that. No one was tweeting about it. No one was putting it on Instagram. Just no real news about it. I don't even know, because I know they do a little tournament, 3-on-3 tournament, and that's pretty much who wins. I don't even know which 3-on-3 team won. Last All-Star game I watched in the NHL was when, what's his name? I can't believe it's Scott. What was his first name? John Scott? No. Oh, this is going to bug me if I don't figure it out. But it was that All-Star game where the fans voted him as a joke. The NHL really didn't like it. But nonetheless, I mean, he was like the story of it, you know? So I think it was John Scott. Is it John Scott? I really need to figure this out. Oh, yeah, John Scott. Yeah, all right. I had the name right. All right. John Scott. That's the last time I watched the NHL All-Star game, and that was probably one of the funner All-Star games of all of sports that I've ever watched. But nonetheless, ever since then, haven't watched it. So, I mean, as far as the Pro Bowl goes, get rid of it. Doesn't matter to me. Get rid of Thursday Night Football while you're at it, too. All right, so that's out of the way. Now let's talk about some sad news. DeMarcus Cousins out for the year with a torn Achilles. I was driving home, got the notification. Or actually, I shouldn't say that because I'm not supposed to be checking. You're not supposed to be checking your phone when you're driving. Again, remember, this is a no check phone while driving podcast too. So, nonetheless, I mean, yeah, so I check my phone. Either way, it doesn't matter. But like I said, I check my phone and I get the notification from Bleacher Report. DeMarcus Cousins goes down, grabbing his ankle. I can't remember exactly what it said. I'm just off the top of my head. Grabs his ankle with a non-contact injury. My heart drops. All right. For those of you that have listened to the podcast before, you know DeMarcus Cousins is my favorite player in the NBA. Is the best center in the NBA. If he played on a good team, he'd be a top 5 player in the NBA. All right. I mean, the numbers he put up with the Kings during those years. I mean, if the Kings were just a good team, a well-ran team who, like I said, just well-ran and just made playoffs from time to time, DeMarcus Cousins might have had an MVP. All right, I'm just saying, throwing that out there. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins was that good, is that good, but now he's out for the year. All right, this was terrible because, this was going to be the first year that DeMarcus Cousins was going to make the playoffs. Let me check the standings right now. I think currently the Pelicans are in the 6th spot in the West. I would be correct. They're currently in the 6th spot, 27-22, tied with the Trailblazers, but the Trailblazers are in the 7th spot. The Pelicans are currently 2.5 games back of the Thunder for the 5th spot. So either way, I mean, it's just devastating to see DeMarcus Cousins go down. DeMarcus Cousins, I think, gets an unfair shake because people overblew his attitude, I think. All right, his attitude really wasn't, I don't know, maybe his attitude was that bad because, yeah, he was getting technicals all the time, but you try playing with the Sacramento Kings. You try being a top 10 player in the league, and you got to play with the Kings where it's just pure incompetence year after year. All right, guy played for 5 different coaches, I think, in his 6 or 7 years with the Kings. They never really put any solid players around him. Yeah, they had Tyreek Evans for a little bit, but that guy's more of a role player. They drafted Jimmer Fredette instead of Kawhi Leonard. I understand hindsight of 2020, but either way, you drafted Jimmer Fredette. Really? They never put a solid team around DeMarcus Cousins, and people like to say, oh yeah, DeMarcus Cousins didn't make players around him better. That's fine, you could say that, but I mean, how are you going to make guys like Jimmer Fredette better when they just have no real NBA talent? Jimmer Fredette went to China, came back, went to the Spurs for a little bit, and he didn't even cut it there. All right, Jimmer Fredette is just, I just don't understand. They never put any solid players around him, so it just stinks to see for him to go from the Kings to a Pelicans team who have a chance of making playoffs this year and look like they are. I mean, this was like the year that they were finally starting to put it together. Obviously, they weren't going to be a team who finishes in the top 4 or anything like that, but they were starting to put it together and play well. Now DeMarcus Cousins has a torn Achilles, out for the year, and now Anthony Davis pretty much is trying to do it on his own once again. So, I mean, it just doesn't work out. And as far as what happens next, I mean, Boogie's on a free agent after this year, I believe. So, I mean, who's going to sign him? He's not going to get a deal until he's 100%, I don't think. And he's not going to get a big money deal or anything like that. If I'm DeMarcus Cousins, I'm signing a 1-year deal, pretty much just a bet on myself deal. Because, like I said, no one's going to give him a big money max contract, I don't think. Especially coming off of an Achilles injury, okay? This is a near 7 feet player. All right, the way he plays is different from other centers. He does dribble the ball well as far as taking it down the court and moving in and out for, like I said, for a 7-foot player. So now trying to do that is going to be difficult for him because he's a big guy. You're going to have to put tons of pressure on that Achilles. And it's just sad to see now because, like I said, one of my favorite players and a guy that shouldn't have happened to, but nonetheless it does. And I'm not sure what happens to him next. I mean, where does he even end up? Does he go back to the Pelicans? I'm not too sure about that. Does he go to the Lakers? I'm not sure about that either. I mean, who knows if DeMarcus Cousins is even going to come back and be as dominant as he was. I mean, just the worst possible thing that could happen to a nice guy. All right, people like to think of DeMarcus Cousins as the bad guy. All right, and I think that's unfair. The guy's probably the most charitable person in the NBA if you pay attention to it. But nonetheless, I mean, yeah, on Friday, DeMarcus Cousins tore his Achilles and his season's over. So now the Pelicans got to figure something out. I saw Adrian Wojnarowski tweet, I think it was, saying that the Pelicans are still going to be buyers at the trade deadline. But I feel that's more of like they know they're done. But, I mean, they just owe it to their fans, I guess, to still try and make the playoffs. And I think they will still make the playoffs. The Jazz, the West is pretty bad after the Nuggets, all right? Because you've got the Clippers there who are going to be fighting for that 8th spot. But other than that, I mean, the Jazz are bad. They're 21-28. Lakers are bad. Memphis is bad. Phoenix is bad. Dallas is bad. And Sacramento is terrible. So now we just got to wait and see how it all ends up for DeMarcus Cousins going forward. He's got to get back to 100% and hope some team wants to sign him to a max contract. If not, like I said, just take the 1-year deal and bet on yourself. But that's going to wrap it up for the weekend recap. Next up, we're going to be talking about the NBA games from Monday, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Alright, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far on the show, we've talked about that crazy Blake Griffin trade to the Pistons. Talked about what we talked about in the last segment. I did the weekend recap for the last segment, and for this one, we're going to be recapping Monday's NBA games, and then for the next segment, we'll be talking about anything going on in sports. Talk about Floyd Mayweather. Saw some bad news on Twitter right now saying that the Jacksonville Jaguars are planning on keeping Blake Bortles as the starting quarterback in 2018. So I'll give my sad thoughts about that and pretty much anything else. I mean, it is Super Bowl week. Maybe we'll say a couple of things there. Who knows? Just whatever comes to mind, you know? That's what we do. So let's get it started. Monday's NBA games. First up, we had the Charlotte Hornets facing off with the Indiana Pacers. Pacers won that one, 105-96. Marvin Williams, only 2 points in that one, shot 1 of 6. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, 6 points, 4 rebounds, shot 3 of 4. Dwight Howard, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 9 of 15 shooting. Kemba Walker, 23 points, 4 assists, shot 7 of 15, 3 of 5 from the three-point line. Nicholas Batum, nice little game from him, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 8 of 17 shooting, 5 of 10 from the three-point line. Let's look at these Pacers right here. Thaddeus Young, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 8 of 12. Domantas Sabonis, 11 points, 10 rebounds, shot 5 of 11. Victor Oladipo, great game from him. 25 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 11 of 15. Off the bench, you had Miles Turner with 22 points, 4 rebounds, shot 8 of 11, 4 of 6 from the three-point line. All right, so the Pacers currently right now, they are the 7th seed, 2 games up on Philly, and probably going to end up jumping over the Wizards. Let's see, did the Wizards play yesterday, or can I just talk about what's happening with them? So the Wizards did not play. So now that I'm bringing up the Wizards are going to be without John Wall for about 2 months, I think, because of knee soreness. He's getting a procedure done on his knee, so yeah, it's going to keep him out 2 months. Are the Wizards going to make the playoffs this year, you guys? Real question, like honest question. Are they going to make the playoffs? Is Bradley Beal and Otto Porter enough to get him there? All right, let's see. We're currently going to be starting February, so let's go 4 months. February, March, April, and then playoffs start in May. So he's going to be back for April and May. So you know what? I mean, I can't remember. When does the NBA season end? I think it ends in May. I can't remember, but nonetheless, I mean, Washington is going to be a team that makes it in as a 7th seed or 8th seed, I think. I think they're going to be really bad for these next 2 months without Wall if he's out for that full 2 months. So I mean, they're going to slide and they're going to slide hard. They'll be lucky to be a 500 team when Wall gets back. If we're being real here, all right. So I think Indiana right now, they got a good shot to move up to that 6th spot. You'd be able to face off with a team like the Cavs, and I don't know, man. The Cavs just really haven't looked good at all this season. Too much drama going on. You got obviously, I guess, anonymous players questioning Isaiah Thomas' shot selection. That's another thing that went over the weekend. A reporter asked Isaiah Thomas about his shot selection because an anonymous player brought it up. You see Isaiah Thomas say, which one? Which player brought it up? That's why I love Isaiah Thomas, because he's not afraid of no one, even though he's 5'9". I mean, he's the leader for us short guys out there. But nonetheless, I mean, what's going on in Cleveland is pretty bad. And let's say the Indiana Pacers make it to the 6th spot. I mean, they could give the Cleveland Cavaliers a run for their money in that first round. Let's be real here. I mean, it's a possibility. All right, I'm not saying that they're going to win or anything like that, but this game were to go, or that series were to go 7 games, I wouldn't be surprised. Nonetheless, though, Pacers won that game against the Hornets. Let's see, what was it, 105-96. As for the Hornets, I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, watch out for Kemba Walker, possibly to the Detroit Pistons. If that happens, I think that considers me as breaking that news, so we'll see. But yeah, I think Kemba Walker will be a nice little fit with the Pistons. Give up Reggie Jackson, Stanley Johnson, and be done with it right there. So we'll see how it all ends up. Now let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves and Atlanta Hawks game. You guys know how over time I've told you that the Minnesota Timberwolves are extremely inconsistent, and this is why I can never really pick them for games. Yeah, this game was one of those examples. All right, the Hawks beat the Timberwolves 105-100. I mean, just disgusting right there from the Timberwolves. Taj Gibson had 17 points, 4 rebounds, 8 of 12 shooting. Andrew Wiggins, nice little shooting night from him. 8 of 14 shooting, 2 of 4 from the three-point line, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Karl-Anthony Towns, 15 points, 13 rebounds, 6 of 8 shooting. I noticed this season Karl-Anthony Towns just hasn't been the producer that he was the last couple of seasons. I know with Jimmy Butler out there, obviously he's going to have to take a lot of the shots, but Karl-Anthony Towns needs to step up and pretty much say, no, this is my team too, and needs to start doing more. All right, Jeff Teague had 2 points, 10 assists, shot 1 of 12, 0 of 2 from the three-point line. Not a great night from him, obviously, if you heard me what I just read. Jimmy Butler, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 7 of 15 shooting. For the Hawks, you had Mason, is it Miles Plumlee? I think it's Mason. I can't remember. One of the Plumlee brothers had 6 points, 6 rebounds, shot 3 of 3 in the game. Dennis Schroeder, 18 points, 11 assists, shot 5 of 15. And that one, not great from him. Kent Bazemore had 22 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 8 of 14, and 4 of 8 from the three-point line. Once again, the Atlanta Hawks won 105-100. The Timberwolves got to start pulling out games like this. The Timberwolves are good enough to where they should be beating the bad teams every time. All right, right now I think they are still the 3rd seed in the West. No, they're the 4th seed now, currently a game and a half back at San Antonio. The Timberwolves, if they want to eventually take that next step, you got to start winning these games. This is unacceptable to lose to teams like the Hawks. All right, it's just ridiculous. You got Jimmy Butler, you got Karl-Anthony Towns. Andrew Wiggins is a bit of a weird player because he's still trying to figure out what kind of player he is, I feel. So, I mean, you got all that, but nonetheless, those are 3 solid players right there, and you shouldn't be losing to these teams. It's just frustrating to see because, I mean, I want the Timberwolves to do well, but I mean, they just keep getting in their own way, I feel. Next game up, we had a nice one right here. We had the Boston Celtics facing off with the Denver Nuggets in Denver. Boston won this one 111-110. Jaylen Brown hit the game-winning 3 in this game. All right, for the Celtics, you had Al Horford with 10 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 4 of 12. Jason Tatum, really good game from him. 20 points, 4 assists, 6 rebounds, shot 8 of 13, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. Kyrie Irving had 27 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 11 of 17 shooting, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. Jaylen Brown had 9 points, 6 rebounds, 4 of 11 shooting, 1 of 5 from the three-point line, but that 1 3 he hit was the most important of the game. Off the bench, you had Semi Ojeleye with 6 points, shot 2 of 3. Also, pretty much only took his shots from the three-point line, was 2 of 3 from there. Marcus Morris off the bench, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 4 of 8 shooting, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. Daniel Tice, the rookie, the 25-year-old rookie, 11 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 4 of 9, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. And then Terry Rozier had 8 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 3 of 8, and 2 of 4 from the three-point line. As for those Denver Nuggets, you had one of the Plumlee brothers, Miles, I think. I think it's Mason that plays for the Denver Nuggets. He had 16 points, 8 rebounds, shot 7 of 10. Nikola Jokic, 24 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 8 of 17. Jamal Murray, 14 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 5 of 11. Will Barton, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 8 of 18, missed the potential game-winning shot from 3 at the end of the, pretty much like I said, at the end of the game, right after Jaylen Brown hit his shot. Gary Harris had 15 points, 4 assists, shot 6 of 16, 1 of 7, not a great from the three-point line, not a great game from him. Off the bench, you had Trey Lyles with 20 points, 7 rebounds, shot 7 of 10, 4 of 7 from the three-point line. Then Emmanuel Mudiay, not a great game from him off the bench, only had 2 points, shot 1 of 7. For the Celtics, currently 36-15, the number 1 team in the East right now. Let's see, they're currently a game and a half up on Toronto, 5.5 up on Cleveland, and 6.5 up on Miami. The only team that can really take away that number 1 spot from Boston is the Toronto Raptors, unless Cleveland just makes the trade of all trades and somehow brings someone in to fix all of their problems. Because this team that Cleveland's currently got right now is terrible, for being honest here. For their standards, all right, obviously they're not a truly terrible team like the Hawks, or I've already talked too bad about the Kings for too much in this podcast. They're not bad like the Magic either. But for their standards, for where they should be, they're a pretty bad team. So, I mean, Cleveland's got to figure it out. But like I said, just going back to Boston, I mean, as of right now, Kyrie Irving's starting to hit his stride, starting to play his best basketball of the season, I feel, and pretty much he's been a solid facilitator with that team. All right, obviously, from compared to last year to this year, the Celtics' team assist numbers have gone down. but I think they look a whole lot better than they did last year, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Obviously, Kyrie Irving's going to go down. He's not going to pass you the ball time to time. He's going to take his shot. That's just the way Kyrie Irving plays, and you got to accept that. Brad Stevens does well to game plan around that. And like I said, Kyrie Irving's probably having one of the best seasons of his career. Obviously, probably not the best statistical season, but as far as efficiency, net rating, and all those little advanced stats, he's doing, I think if I remember correctly, he's having one of his best years as far as those advanced stats go. So like I said, I mean, right now, Kyrie Irving's playing well. Jaylen Brown's kind of time to time he plays well. Jason Tatum went on a little slump, but it looks like he's starting to figure it out too. So once again, the Celtics won that game 111-110. Next game up, we had the Memphis Grizzlies facing off with the Phoenix Suns. This game took place in Memphis, and Memphis won this one 120-109. For the Suns, you had TJ Warren with 24 points, 7 rebounds, shot 10 of 18. Greg Monroe with 14 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 8. Troy Daniels, 9 points in this one, only shot 2 of 8, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Josh Jackson with 20 points, 8 rebounds, 6 of 16, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Notice that he's been playing well, starting to play well these last few games. So look for that. Hopefully he starts to put it together. I mean, Josh Jackson's one like a crazy athletic guy in this league, and pretty much just needs to just develop his game more and just pretty much just put the finishing touches on it, I feel. Jared Dudley, is that his name? Jared Dudley? I don't know. I think it's Jared Dudley. He had 13 points, 3 assists, shot 4 of 8. Tyler Ulis off the bench had 13 points, 7 assists, 6 of 13 shooting. Tyler Ulis, that's like a 5'6" kid right there playing basketball in the NBA, and he's been doing well, right? He's an off the bench type role player, but I mean, he's been doing well since he's been in the league the last couple of years. I really like what Ulis has done. All right, for Memphis, you had Dylan Brooks with 12 points, shot 5 of 8. Marc Gasol with 12 points, 10 rebounds, shot 5 of 10. Wayne Selden, 17 points, 6 assists, shot 7 of 12. Off the bench, you had Tyreek Evans with 27 points, 4 assists, shot 11 of 17. Like I said earlier, his name has been been in trade rumors. He's been linked to Boston, and I can't remember which Boston reporter said it, but someone said that that's Danny Ainge's top trade target this season. The Celtics get Tyreek Evans and have him coming off the bench. That's going to be even more for them to compete with the Warriors. Obviously, Tyreek Evans isn't that guy that puts you over or anything like that. But, I mean, if you put Evans on the Celtics, I mean, he's going to be able to match up with guys like Sean Livingston and all those other guys on the Warriors coming off the bench. So that'd be a big move for Boston to make. We'll see if they do it, but I'm not sure if they will. All right, we had the Philadelphia 76ers facing off with the Milwaukee Bucks. This one was in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee won this one 107-95. All right, for Philly, you had Dario Saric with 19 points, 9 rebounds, shot 7 of 18. Robert Covington, bad shooting night from him, 13 points, shot 3 of 12, 1 of 8 from the three-point line, 6 rebounds. Ben Simmons, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 7 of 10. For the Bucks, you had Giannis Antetokounmpo with 31 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 10 of 22. Chris Middleton with 19 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 7 of 19. Eric Bledsoe, only 3 minutes. I believe he might have got hurt in this game. He had 2 points. And Malcolm Brogdon played 22 minutes in this one, but only took 4 shots, made one of them, had 4 points. Once again, the Bucks won that one 107-95. All right. Last game of the night, we had the Miami Heat facing off of the Dallas Mavericks. You had Miami winning this one 95-88. James Johnson, only 6 points in this one, did have 6 assists. Josh Richardson, 14 points, 4 of 8 shooting, 4 of 7 from the three-point line. Hassan Whiteside, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 10 of 15 shooting. Goran Dragic, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 6 of 14. Off the bench, you had Kelly Olynyk with 12 points, shot 4 of 12, and Bam Adebayo, only 19 minutes in this one, had 2 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. I'm still on the bandwagon of trade Hassan Whiteside and make Bam Adebayo your starting center. I'm not sure if the Heat do it, but I think they should. As for the Mavericks, you had Dirk Nowitzki with 10 points, 6 rebounds, shot 3 of 11 in this one. Harrison Barnes, 20 points, 8 of 18 shooting, 1 of 5 from the three-point line, the Forgotten Warrior. Dennis Smith, you had him with 14 points, 10 assists, shot 4 of 17. Not a great night from him. And then you had Wesley Matthews with 19 points, 7 rebounds, shot 7 of 12. Remember when Wesley Matthews played on that for the Trailblazers for most of from the beginning of his career? I mean, that team, Nicholas Batum, Wesley Matthews, LaMarcus Aldridge, Damian Lillard, that team should have did way more than they ever did. But nonetheless, here we are now. So that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking pretty much anything else going on in sports. We're going to make my picks for tonight's NBA games. Going to talk a bit about Floyd Mayweather. Going to talk a bit about maybe the Super Bowl. Talk about Bill Belichick smiling. And pretty much, like I said, anything else going on in the world of sports. Anything else that goes through my mind. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
GSMC Sports Podcast. So far on the show, we talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about Blake Griffin going to the Pistons. We did the weekend recap, and then we talked about, we recapped the games from Monday. For this segment, we're going to be making my picks for the NBA games going on tonight, but we're going to do that at the end. All right, we're going to be talking Floyd Mayweather. All right, so today on Twitter, Floyd Mayweather goes, and what does he do? He tweets a video of him walking into an octagon, moving around a bit, wasn't throwing no punches or anything like that, but nonetheless, we all know what that means. All right, we all know it's a little hype for a possible fight in the UFC for Floyd Mayweather against one Conor McGregor. And personally, I don't want to see that fight. Because you know what? If McGregor goes out there and he's like, I'm just going to go out there 100% and do what I do, this fight doesn't last for more than 15 seconds. All right? If this was like a true Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor UFC fight in the octagon, this would be ugly. All right? I love Floyd Mayweather, the boxer. Person, obviously not that great, but the boxer himself, one of the best boxers of all time. If you don't like it and say, oh, Floyd Mayweather dances, he runs away too much, you just don't understand the style or you just don't respect it. But nonetheless, Floyd Mayweather, one of the best of all time. All right, but we saw what he did with McGregor in the boxing ring, and we all should have expected that. Anyone who thought that McGregor had a chance, you're pretty crazy. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, a boxing fight is obviously a whole lot different than getting into the octagon. Boxing is just one style. You hit him, he hits you. And obviously I'm meaning, like when I say that, I mean in the UFC compared, you got a guy who's going to kick you, he can hit you, he can take you to the ground, submit you. There's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of different styles and ways to finish in UFC, obviously, than there is in boxing. There's only one in box. There's only a couple in boxing. Either you get knocked out, or you lose on points. In UFC, you get submitted, knocked out, or you lose on points. So you get what I'm saying here? Completely different. Floyd in the octagon doesn't stand a chance against Conor McGregor, just like Conor McGregor doesn't stand a chance against Floyd Mayweather in the boxing ring. All right, Conor McGregor against Manny Pacquiao in the boxing ring. That might be a little different right there. All right, Manny Pacquiao, maybe he's overrated if we're being honest here. Did I say that? Did I just say Manny Pacquiao might be a bit overrated? I think so. Nonetheless, that's a conversation for a different day. But like I said, I mean, Mayweather goes out, tweets out this video. It's going to create some news. It's going to get people excited. It's going to build up hype. I don't ever see this happening unless Mayweather, like obviously it's going to take Mayweather getting hit the biggest payday of his career. It's going to have to be more than what he made for Pacquiao, and his fight with Pacquiao is going to be more than what he made with Mayweather, or I mean, has to be more with what he made against McGregor. Got a little tongue twister there. All right, so yeah, I'm not sure what it takes, but something around 400 million, 500 million to get him out there. I remember Mayweather saying that he wanted $1 billion to go out and he'd fight 3 or 4 fights for the UFC. I'm not sure how it all ends up, but this guy is one of the best sports geniuses as far as business goes of all time. Guy's going to make a whole lot more money, but I mean, I'm not really interested in seeing this fight. I wouldn't buy it. I'd go to someone else's house to watch it, but I wouldn't even be that interested in it at that point either, because I mean, we know how this fight ends. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to see it happen, but either way, it might. Canelo and Triple G, they finalized their fight. They're going to be fighting in May. I think it's May 5th or May 8th. Can't remember the exact date, but nonetheless, it's going to be a rematch for both. Some think that Triple G should have won that fight and some people thought that he won it easily. I was on the side of, I thought it was a draw. Before they even came out with the scorecards, you could just say that I'm lying. I'm not. I know what I said. Nonetheless, I thought it was a draw. Most people don't agree with me, but, I mean, the judges do, so who's right there? Nonetheless, it's going to be a fun fight to see. I think as of right now, Canelo pulls this one out. He's learned a lot from Triple G, and I think he's going to be, obviously, Triple G is older, Canelo is younger, and I think Canelo learned a lot from that fight. Hopefully, Canelo doesn't come back and become kind of the diva that he was in that fight. I mean, Canelo's starting to rub me the wrong way a bit with how he acts, but nonetheless, I mean, it doesn't matter. I think he'd beat Triple G in this next fight. All right, so anything else going on? Oh, yeah, by the way, yesterday, NFL Media Day, or I'm not sure if it was like the actual NFL Media Day, you get what I'm saying, but Bill Belichick, there was a picture of him smiling. Like, Bill Belichick said words, and he smiled. It's crazy to see. Like, anytime, like, Bill Belichick smiling and just showing emotion is, like, shouldn't be a big deal, but it is, I mean, it's just we never see that from the guy, but he did. Obviously, it's Super Bowl week, but the NBA is taking over the headlines right now. They own the NFL. All right, NFL has always been king, but the NBA is starting to make the way up, I feel, and I'm enjoying it. Oh yeah, also sad news. The Jacksonville Jaguars are planning on keeping Blake Bortles as their starting quarterback for 2018. That was reported by Ian Rappaport. Why? Why, Jacksonville? What do you see in Blake Bortles? It makes no sense to me. It's infuriating. All right, Blake Bortles is an average quarterback. He's not going to win it. They take you. All right, calm down. All right. Blake Bortles isn't good enough. Obviously, they got to the AFC Championship with him playing quarterback, but that was in spite of Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles played well in the playoffs. Maybe they think he could do that for 16 games for next season. I don't think he can. It's time to move on. Don't waste away these years. This is a Super Bowl contending team with an Alex Smith, with a Kirk Cousins, all right? With a guy like, I was about to say maybe Jay Cutler, but that was a little hyperbole right there. But you get what I'm saying. I think this team is wasting they're wasting another year. Why are you bringing back Blake Bortles to see what he can do? It doesn't make sense to me. It's frustrating. I don't get it. But either way, it's looking like he's going to be the starter for 2018. I can't do anything about it, so good luck to you, Jacksonville. Now, let's make my picks for the NBA games for Tuesday night. First up, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder facing off with the Washington Wizards. Again, no John Wall, getting surgery on his knee, going to be out for 2 months. This pick is easy. Wizards are going to be a bad team going forward. Like, bad, terrible. If you're a Wizards team, your team is going to be so bad without John Wall. All right? There's no hope. You're going to be bad. The team's going to be so bad. This team needs John Wall. But nonetheless, getting back to the game, Thunder are my pick. This is an easy one. They should be favored by more. They're favored by 3.5. They should be favored by way more than that. All right, next up we got the Brooklyn Nets facing off with the New York Knicks. The Battle of New York. Going with the Knicks in this one. They're 15-9 at home. Nets are 8-17 on the road. D'Angelo Russell's been slowly getting acclimated back into the team, but I think the Knicks and Kristaps Porzingis are going to pull out the win here. Then we got the Minnesota Timberwolves facing off with the Toronto Raptors. I'm going with the Raptors in this one. The Timberwolves disappointed me last night, losing to the Hawks. They're on a back-to-back. It's going to be tough for them. Raptors are currently 18-4 at home. Timberwolves are currently 12-15 on the road. So I got the Raptors. Then we got the Cleveland Cavaliers facing off with the Detroit Pistons at home for Detroit. I highly doubt that Blake Griffin is going to be playing in this game. All right, so I'm going with the Cavs. Dude, the Cavs are 11-13 on the road. I did not notice that. Either way, I'm going with the Cavs. No Blake Griffin yet, so that's why. Then we got the Magic facing off with the Rockets. This is an easy one right here. Magic are 6-21 on the road, one of the worst teams in the league. The Rockets are one of the best teams in the West, 19-6 at home. I'm going with the Rockets. Then we got the Sacramento Kings facing off with the New Orleans Pelicans. Still sad over Boogie not playing for the rest of the season, but it doesn't matter. Kings, one of the worst teams in the league, 8-20 on the road. Pelicans 14-10 at home. Give me Anthony Davis over anyone on that Kings roster. I got the Pelicans winning this one. Then we got the Denver Nuggets facing off with the San Antonio Spurs. Nuggets coming off of a tough loss against the Celtics. I'm looking at the game right now. Tickets are starting from $3 for this game. It's ridiculous how tickets are so cheap everywhere. But nonetheless, I'm going with the Spurs. They're by far the better team. Nuggets have been playing good basketball as of late, but I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Spurs at home. All right, and then we got the Golden State Warriors facing off with the Utah Jazz. I'm going with the Warriors in this one. Jazz are 14-9 at home. Pretty nice, solid home team. But the Warriors are 21-4 on the road. Plus, they have those guys. What are their names? Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green. Yeah, no reason to pick the Jazz in this one. Warriors are winning this one big. Then for the final game of the night, we got the Portland Trail Blazers facing off with the Los Angeles Clippers. Again, don't think for the Clippers that Tobias Harris or Avery Bradley are playing. So you know that means that the Trail Blazers should win this with an easy, right? I'm not too sure about that. You know what? All right, should I overthink this one, or should I just make the smart pick and go with the Trailblazers? This game's in LA. I'm going with the Clippers, dude. I can't. I'm going with the Clippers. I'm saying it there. I said it. Clippers are going to win this one. Trailblazers, just don't trust them at all. You know what? No. I know whichever team I pick is going to lose. This is one of those games. Give me the Trailblazers. I'll take the Trailblazers. I'll go with the safe pick. So I got the Trailblazers beating the Clippers. Trailblazers should win this one. I'm not too sure that they do, but I'm just going to make them my pick just so I could sound smarter. All right, once again, to recap my picks, I got the Thunder beating the Wizards, the Knicks beating the Nets, the Raptors beating the Timberwolves, the Cavaliers beating the Pistons, the Rockets beating the Magic, the Pelicans beating the Kings, the Spurs beating the Nuggets, the Warriors beating the Jazz, and the Trailblazers beating the Clippers. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Today we talked about Blake Griffin going to the Pistons, did our weekend recap, we talked about Tiger Woods a bit, talked about DeMarcus Cousins' injury, talked about Roger Federer, talked about how Serena Williams is the best tennis player in the world right now. We recapped the Monday NBA games, and then today in this last segment we talked about the Jaguars bringing back Blake Bortles. That still hurts my head right there that they're doing that, but they're doing it. We talked about Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, talked about Triple G and Canelo for a bit, and I just made my pick. So thanks for listening to today's show. Once again, this is the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. Tomorrow we'll be back, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.